Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Gary, well,
That's correct. How you doing, Andrew?
I am doing good today. I'm so glad to have you back.
Thank you for asking me to be back. I really appreciate it.
We all have to come together and realize that we can stop struggling if we share our common concepts and ideas.
Yes.
Yeah. This is why doing these reading shows, it brings an opportunity just to show people that first reading show that I did with you, and you were going through the throat heating. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people in the chat room noticed how your voice has changed.
Yes, this, in fact, I was at the throat doctor yesterday, and the cyst that was on my vocal cords is about 95% gone. I do my, excuse me, I do my revocations of every night with predator or praise, and I claim my sovereignty and my relationship with Mother Earth, and I take my salt baths, and I also have foot ionizers that detox me and proclaim my sovereignty, and my voice has come back.
And we can all hear it. It's wonderful.
And thank you. It gives me something to hold on to, and by being a part of these teachings that you are doing, so graciously doing, I may add, is help me personally and help me weave my way through the many people I know and give them some directions of how to go get the information.
Very, very.
This time thing we do, Andrew, is so much part of all of our lives, and especially in the studios where you're paid for your time. Mm-hmm. It's not regular hours, so we're really on the clock with breaks and when you show up and just this whole thing of breaking out of this 3D time is I can't wait to the 21st of December because I have it in my mind's eye. Excuse me, in my mind's eye what the time concept of no time is. But when you live it in your daily lives to survive, you can't really live that until, I mean, I guess you could, but I don't know how to do that if I'm surviving and working in everyday jobs.
That's right. Because you're on the slave concept. You're in the metaphorical 9 to 5, 11 to 8, 6 to 3 slave job in the service industry. And the vast majority of the United States are what? Service-oriented industry jobs. And, people that are customer service representatives, 9 to 5 in the office with the dirty energy of an office, That sucks. And it's really hard to get out of time.
Yeah, and it's just it does suck, and like I said, my work is a joy to do. It is with these musicians, but it's still on 3D time, and that's the way the whole planet is. It's like more the slavery, and so I just keep proclaiming my sovereignty, and I know I'm a free, sovereign human being, and I believe that with all my heart. And I just keep, and it makes me feel better. It makes me feel better about myself, and I know I'm going to get to that in my actual livelihood.
Mm-hmm. So, what else has changed for you since the last reading?
Well, I've gotten a more of a personal relationship with my Arcturian guide and doll. And we've been. I have more contact with him. And you're right. When I asked him to help me, he absolutely did with my Arcturian friends. And they're a wonderful, wonderful race. And it was just that's one thing that's changed. My patience for other people not knowing about what is the real has grown extensively, and my patience for that they don't know, and that's why I think it's important for me to learn as much as I can, to be able to share it correctly, to even raise the interest of my fellow man, so they can go and start researching the information, which is here free for all of us. Thanks to you.
Yes. And I'm just one of the beginning waves of people. Everyone has this inherent legacy to read the Akashic Records. If people would like to, in a metaphor, consider someone that's trained their whole life to do a certain job, that's what I've done. I've trained my whole life to do this. This doesn't mean this is not unattainable for other people out there. I get people asking me all the time how to read the Akashic Record, and my answer to them is detox first and learn to have a ceremonial life before you come to me to learn. Because without a ceremonial life to reach sacred neutral, you won't be able to read the Akashic Records in a method and manner that's similar to this. You'll be able to do it 6 or 7 or 20 minutes at a time, and it'll really burn you out, and the next time you go to do it, it'll be harsher and harsher and harsher until you're led into polarity. And one of the techniques that I'd like to share with you, Gary, is when you do your music, you are in the Akashic frequency. When you are in the chemistry of working with professional musicians, you are in the chemistry of the soul. And we have the soul man. And the soul man that's in the body right now is going through his personal awakening into multidimensional, multifunctional life. Sure you have seen musicians that can play a harmonica and a guitar at the same time.
Sure.
How hard do you think that skill is really to learn?
Probably not very hard. It's the skill of the instrument, but to be able to do it is, especially if you're in the same key, it would be very doable. I know people that play keyboards with one instrument and play like another instrument with the other hand, like a trumpet or something.
Yep. Or some sort of like a bass drum too with their foot pedal. All sorts of examples out there of people living multiple things. If you out there want to consider being able to play something like a guitar and a harmonica at the same time, they sell these little get-ups where the harmonica's on a little thing and is right in front of your mouth. And you can see all sorts of bands that have been doing it for hundreds of years. If you can metaphorically get what it takes to learn to play 2 instruments at once, you can create a multidimensional life where you are multifunctional. Gary has a series of skill sets when dealing with musical instruments that makes it easy for him to enter chemistry of neutrality to go and co-create. So Gary, what is your favorite instrument to play?
Well, my favorite instrument is the trumpet, which I've been with this world-class horn section for 40 years, so that's my main instrument. It's pretty physical. You have to be in tune with your breath.
Yep.
And
lips,
and so many people that can do. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
Your lips and your embouchure.
That's right, the lips and the embouchure, and also being able to relax and play from the heart.
Right.
So many times I've heard myself say about a wonderful playing musician, no matter what instrument, that he's an old soul, and that comes out through their instrument.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is to work with your Arcturian guides to be multidimensional. So what I want you to do is either with your favorite instrument or two instruments, not exactly at the same time, that you bring two frequencies to you. You speak to your guides. You ask them to come to the chemistry of the music, so that you're going to play, I don't know, 20 or 30 frames of something, let's say on your trumpet, and you're going through the melodies and the ways that you can create emotion through music. You can bring the mute in there. You can do all sorts of things. You can make it a wet sound, and know that sound is healing. And through the Arcturian expression that you're working with in your guides, there is your healing energy. And I want you to pretend that that noise, that energy coming out of the front of your trumpet, is the same frequency of contract revocations.
Okay.
The same heart space. Okay? And then when you
Since the last time we spoke, I've been playing more beautiful melodies, more lyrical, more smoother, more beautiful.
Yeah, you're in the flow.
And that's one thing that's changed.
Yeah, you're in the flow. That's wonderful. So then now you pick up your second instrument. What would be your second instrument to play?
Piano.
Okay. So,
which is ambidextrous. You can play a melody and play chords with your other hand. Drummers, I like to drum, and drum is really you have both feet doing something different and both hands doing different things.
And you can hum or sing or talk or speak when you're pianoing also.
That's correct.
I want you to think of yourself as a multidimensional being at all times when you're playing these instruments. So when you're using your trumpet, you are singing through the trumpet to your environment a frequency that is representing contract revocation. When you switch to piano, I want it to be more of a communication to the sun. As you're playing the piano, imagine the sun and your connection to the sun, and then bring in your Arcturian guides to begin unlocking all of your solar codes.
Okay.
This is a way to train yourself to be a one-man, multi-dimensional band. In no time, because you can record yourself doing all of these different things, so it creates its own perfect cacophony of synchronicities at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So you have, let's say, 6 minutes of you doing trumpet, 4 minutes of you doing piano, 3 minutes of you doing some out loud spoken word, 2 minutes of you doing drum, and you mix it at the end. Because you have that skill to do it. Mix it at the end, and that is your signature frequency of what it took for you to be your first multidimensional being. I know you've seen music built from the track up.
Absolutely.
You're going to do the same thing that you've learned how to build your multidimensional self as tracks. So when you want to have an experience, you have tracks that are ready. That is a field clearing tool, another track that is ready that gets you into deep meditation, another track that gets you into the rhythm of drum so that you can get the focus that is needed to get some deeper understanding when dealing with your guides. Make specific tracks that are meant to bring you up to ask your guide a question, and the second track is to help you understand the answer of that question.
Okay.
And it's in the language of music that you already know. It is heart-based.
Yes, it is.
When I learned to play saxophone and trumpet and trombone when I was in high school. I was in marching band, so I learned how to march and play an instrument at the same time, early on. So doing two things at once and being able to play music is very heart expressing. Very heart expressing. It's got its own language. It doesn't need English. It's all heart to heart to heart. And you know how heart-based your Arcturian guides are. So you're going to build your multi-dimensional band. And this is what I want you to give instructions to the guide, that as you're building these tracks, you are going to need a residual image that represents the guide, who's going to be your drummer, who's going to be your lead singer, who's going to be all of those other things. And understand that your multi-dimensional band doesn't just need one personality or 9 personalities or whatever makes up it. It can be as many as you want. It can be a mobile orchestra. And in fact, I would encourage you to see it as a mobile orchestra.
Okay.
Okay. So
I also produce, and I produce a gentleman by the name of Arturo Sandoval, who's a Cuban trumpet player, who also plays Oscar Peterson's piano. He has that in his home. And he also plays percussions, timbales. He sings. He does all these things. So I've witnessed this a lot. And he's a true creative spirit by being able to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no hesitation. Just does it right there.
Exactly. Just does it, and does it in the moment.
Yes, very well.
So I understand you have your wife with you too today?
I do. Her name is Renata.
Renata.
Hi, Andrew.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great.
So how have you seen Gary going through a change here?
Oh, I have seen it. I love the change. Actually, the change is why I'm listening, because I see a change, and it makes me very hopeful.
Very hopeful. So, what do you have any questions you want to ask me? Is there anything that you'd like to know?
Boy, I probably have 1,000 of them. The most important, probably, what Gary has told you, that I'm sick, and I just don't see, that I'm going to die sick. I just see that it's just all part of life, and it's a change, and I'm just accepting of it and going through it.
Okay.
But Gary really does help me. He really does. He's changing, and he's actually helping me listen. I love listening to you, so it's kind of my first step is actually you.
Well, thank you. And I'll take this easy on you here. I do perceive the illness that's going through, and I also perceived it when I was working on Gary the first time here, and to have you both here in this frequency is going to be really, really nice. So the first thing I wanna talk about is what's going on health-wise here. So just give people just a quick rundown of what's going on with you, and in that truth of what you're saying, there's an Akashic record there that I'm going to point out.
Okay. I have metastatic tubular carcinoma, 4th stage. I have HER2, which is the estrogen cancer, and the metastatic has gone to the bone, the hips, the ribs, the back, and traveling up my spine. Mm-hmm. So I'm in 4th stage.
You're in 4th stage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How long you been in 4th stage now?
2 years.
2 years. So you've been given a death sentence for 2 years.
Yep.
Okay.
They gave me 4 months, anywhere from 4 months to, they didn't even say, actually.
All right.
You
Well,
know, 2 years is what I perceived, but I've already passed that.
I know. Well, right now I'm working on some of the energies that are going on in your tailbone and your sciatica here. Much of this cancer is from one of a blocked wellspring meridian points that you have that's in your stomach meridian here, and in your gallbladder meridian, gallbladder 32, also your foot Tyan channel. There was a major disconnection from your root chakra at the sacred feminine level about 13 years ago. It's an attack that you went through. And right now I'm just clearing out your sciatica. I'm trying to get into this energy here. Here we go. It's coming out. So it's spreading into your bones. Here we go. This is coming out now. There we go. All right, so I've cleared out a lot of the field, and now I'm looking at it. Now, in the truth of what you've said, you've proven that in your own expression that no matter what the doctors say, you have the life force to continue.
Yes, I do.
And I want to remind you that you have an infinite amount of life force, not a finite amount of life force.
Great.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you do a scenario where I just want you to repeat after me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to help your soul, which has been disconnected from your root chakra, reconnect to it. And there's a series of out loud words that trigger soul alchemy that we're going to be doing here. And during this, I'm going to be clearing energy out of your sacrum and out of your root chakra. So you may feel an intense warmth or even an intense cold there. And that is called pathogenic warmth and pathogenic cold. So I just want you to repeat after me. I, in the ever-present moment,
I, the ever-present moment,
choose to enter a spiritual court of equity.
Choose to enter a spiritual court of equity.
So I may find remedy and resolve.
So I may find remedy and resolve.
Not justice or judgment.
Not justice or judgment.
I break all contracts, vows, and agreements.
I break all contracts, vows, and agreements.
With all medical personnel.
With all medical personnel.
Who project how I should live my life.
Who project how I should live my life.
I am a sovereign being.
I'm a sovereign being.
Sharing this experience in this world. Sharing this experience in this world.
Sharing this experience in this world.
I now have come to a moment.
I now have come to a moment.
Where I tell all beings that are present.
Where I tell all beings that are present.
What is my belief system?
What is my belief system?
I believe I can heal myself.
I believe I can heal myself.
I know.
I know.
With my connection with Gary.
With my connection with Gary.
I am more than this finite being.
I am more than this finite being.
I am an infinite being.
I'm an infinite being.
I am God, Goddess incarnate.
I am God, Goddess incarnate.
I do not have to accept the debt of ancestors.
I do not have to accept the debt of ancestors.
I break all contracts, vows, and agreements.
I break all vows, all contracts, vows, and agreements.
With all family crests I have lived in.
With all family crests I have lived in.
I return them to the zero balance.
I return them to the zero balance
of universal immigration.
Of universal immigration.
All experiences that I've had on this planet.
All experiences that I've had on this planet.
That are karmic related.
That are karmic related.
That are debt given to me.
That are... I'm sorry, Andrew, I didn't hear you.
That are debt given to me.
That are debt given to me.
I return them.
I return them.
To the spiritual court of equity.
To the spiritual court of equity.
And remain in neutral balance. And remain in neutral balance.
And remain in neutral balance.
Okay. I say to all of my ancestors.
I say to all of my ancestors.
I love you with all of my heart.
I love you with all of my heart.
I say to you, my 7 future generations.
I say to you, my 7 generations.
I carry you on the cradle board of life.
I carry you on the cradle board of life.
For within this prophecy of the cradle board.
Within this prophecy of the cradle board.
All future generations are nurtured.
All future generations are nurtured.
By the grandmother soul within.
By the grandmother soul within.
I call to the 13 grandmothers.
I call to the 13 grandmothers.
To come to the sacred spiritual court of equity.
To come to the sacred court of equity.
To reconnect my soul.
To reconnect my soul.
To her sovereign feminine being.
To her sovereign feminine being.
I call to the 13 grandfathers.
To share it.
I call to the 13 grandfathers.
To come to the spiritual court of equity.
To come to the spiritual court of equity.
So I may find remedy and resolve.
Where I may find remedy and resolve.
With all male personalities this lifetime.
With all male personalities in this lifetime.
I return myself to the zero balance.
I return myself to the zero balance.
Of the fetus in mother's womb.
To the fetus in mother's womb.
I break all contracts, vows, and agreements.
I break all contracts, vows, and agreements.
With all other male relationships that I've had.
With all other male relationships that I've had.
Where those relationships do not repay in balance.
Where those relationships do not pay in balance.
Do not understand love.
Do not understand love.
And those that cannot recycle the gifts of life.
And those who cannot recycle the gifts of life.
I remove them from my energy field.
I remove them from my energy field.
So I may see my signature frequency.
Can you repeat that?
So I can see my signature frequency.
So I can see my signature frequency.
As a sovereign witness.
As a sovereign witness.
To the self.
To the self.
There we go. There's a big amount of energy coming out of your sacrum right now.
I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah, you had some trouble in your, yeah. You had some trouble in a childhood here. There's a lot of psychic scarring on your sacrum. You went through hell. You know it.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it. I'm just clearing out some of the psychic trauma there right now.
Right. Right.
When it's a private time for you, I would like you to re-listen to this and type this out and add some names of men that need to be removed from your energy field. Names are very powerful. And there are some women that you need to do that too.
Yes.
That's the first layer of getting back your energy. Now I'm going back into your sciatica here. There's a big break. Did you break your femur bone?
I broke, yes, I did. I broke my femur and my coxswain, and several other bones.
Yeah, and it's your femur that's the issue. It calcified wrong. It's putting a lot of pressure on your sciatic. It's your extender muscles, your quad.
Right.
It's all really out of place. It's bad. So hold on, let me get in here. Just pull that out of here. All right, what I would like you to do is just flex your big toe, like up and down, as many times as you can. Do it for like 5 seconds. I'm just trying to get in there and stimulate the nerve and see if I can get it to release. And if you can move your other toes too, that might help. There we go. It's flowing a little bit. There we go. It's out. It's out. That's out. All righty. All right.
Okay.
So, have you been having issues eating?
Yes, I have.
Okay. So what are you at, like 400 calories a day? Less? 500?
Probably less. I just, it's getting hard to eat.
Yeah. Well, you need something that's going to help you to eat, and the most obvious answer right now is medical cannabis. Do you have access to medical cannabis?
I do. I do have access. I take one pill a night, just to help me to go to sleep. I don't take any pain pills with my disease because I think it clouds my brain.
It does.
But at night, it's so terrific. I must take some cannabis.
Well, I'm going to suggest that you take it a little different way. What I'm going to suggest is that you start juicing it. You generally don't get high from juicing when you don't get high at all when you're juicing marijuana plants. You need a specific type of cannabinoid. I want you to look up the Simpson method. And this is how you saturate your body with cannabinoids. And cannabinoids are naturally anti-inflammatory, and they reduce the size of cancer cells. What you're going to need to do is consume it. You're going to need to eat it. You're taking pills now. You're probably going to have to make it or bake it into something, or have somebody make you cookies, or deliver you butter that has it already infused in it. Okay. I have helped many people in stage 4 cancer shrink their cancers or completely eliminate it with the Simpson method when they begin to juice. One of the most important things is you're at a point where you're only at about 400 or 500 calories. That means your body is already eating its muscle, and we need to stop it eating the muscle so that the cancer isn't what's being fed to grow. Okay, so the contract revocations put you in a moment of neutrality. The next level here is giving yourself consumable food. So if you can get someone that can make you what's called ganja butter, where they take a bunch of dried marijuana and they infuse it into butter, and then you can just cook with it just like normal. This is what you need to do. You need to start, you can put it on your toast in the morning, and have a little in the afternoon, and just before you go to bed. You're going to start saturating your body with this. And this is going to make a humongous difference with how you actually process food and how your body goes through the process of stop consuming your own muscle.
Right.
Okay. What's your favorite comfort food?
My favorite comfort food is mashed potatoes.
Perfect with butter.
It's perfect with butter. It is. But it is. It seems to be when I'm sick. I just want to have mashed potatoes.
Well, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to see your food as your way of putting your special magic into your life.
Okay.
A while ago, I did some teachings on the power of food, and we have opportunities to really make food special beyond the creative artism. We have our conscious mind that is the ability to give us the greatest amount of health and wellness. I would like you to start practicing at least once a day where you make some type of food, whether you eat it or not, doesn't matter, that you're putting your creative energy in. You know, if it's Gary that eats it or you that eat it, doesn't matter because it's all in your local environment. And this is going to help you start to alchemize some of the heavy-duty negative energies that you took on in your teenage years, dealing with all the relationships that didn't exactly work out the way you wanted to. This alchemy is very, very important. Your cancer is literally from undealt with psychic traumas. Almost all cancers are the same thing. Hereditary cancers that are in the breasts have more to do with direct projections or rejection of sexuality. That's different. In your scenario, it is going after your sacrum and it's going after your root chakra, literally trying to disconnect you as a soul spark from the Earth Mother herself. So this is what is representative as an ancestral curse. Now, this curse wasn't put on you. Not at all. So you are not cursed. You took the debt of an ancestor who left the soul family. You don't need that debt. It isn't your signature frequency, and it is against universal law for you to keep holding on to it. But your soul has been holding on to it for so long, this lifetime, it is manifested into this. And it's going to be you, the micro I am presence, who teaches your higher self soul the lesson of what it takes to live in this world. Because it doesn't know how to live in this world. It can't plan 10 lifetimes in advance. It can only deal with what's now. And that's not, the soul is really at a point where it's frustrated because it has this incredible plan for you.
That's wonderful.
Okay. So what did you do for a career?
I'm a cosmetologist. I make people pretty.
Make people pretty. So you can just sit next to someone and you know their frequency, and you know what it takes to get that smile and how to get it to look right. And that's a powerful teaching for anyone that is being sick, is turning on that power of the smile.
It is.
All right. So do you have any questions for me?
No, I really don't. I'm just really enjoying this.
Thank you. Gary, do you have any questions?
No, I just wanted to play when the saints go marching in and make this a real ceremony. This is just enlightening. We have been we do have hemp oil here at the house, and have researched using the cannabis for healing, but and I have heard about this process about cooking and everything, and we're definitely going to follow this avenue, because Renata has been, she's being modest. She brings a lot of smiles to a lot of peoples, and she helps them in so many ways. She's loved by literally hundreds of people, and that she's helped and serviced over the years. And it didn't matter if they were old or young. They were 2 years old or 5 years old or 90 years old. She made them all feel special. And you're absolutely right. Her smile is the healing processes that the doctors don't know anything about.
Right, they don't. So what I'm gonna do is gonna give you guys a little concept. 1 second here. Excuse me, it's the dense energies that I'm dealing with. Sometimes when I'm dealing with these ancestral curses, what I'm doing is actually beating up the being that created it in the first place and making it come back and take the debt back. And in this particular case, it's being ornery, and that's why I'm going through this densities. It's okay. It's already been sliced and cut out of her. It's just being like a guy waiting for a taxi, and it's just not moving. But do you have access to marijuana? Is it legal where you're at?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with juicing?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What I want you to do is to get a plant that is not in budding stage, that is just green leaves, that is about 6 weeks old. And most 6-week plants that are, whether they're hydro grow or in the ground grow, they're pretty thick, they're pretty bushy, and you can get about 3 servings per plant on this. It is not to grow to bud. You are going to be juicing the young plants. If you can get seeds and start them, and it doesn't matter if they're male plants or female plants, and let them grow 6 weeks, you can have a continuous supply to start juicing. And you're going to need to juice twice a day for 6 weeks. Now, you are not going to get high from juicing a plant that's never budded, but you are going to absorb all of the cannabinoids in their early stage of growth, which is going to begin to reduce your cancers rapidly if you can maintain the other side of cannabinoid absorption, which is the dried plant of eating it or smoking it. In 6 weeks, you will reduce the size of your cancers. It has been over and over and over again. In your scenario, for it to really cancel on you, it's going to be dealing with the rest of the psychic scar tissue that's in your hips. Do you have access to someone that can do point therapy specific on your tailbone, gluteus, and femurs, like how your quads connect? What you do is you have two what I'm going to call them glaciers that are energy calcifications that need to be broken up and transited out of the body by somebody that's a body worker. It is too difficult, and you're not in a stage where you can do that.
No.
We have a craniosacral.
That'll work.
That's very
you can
good.
specifically tell them your issues are with your tailbone, and you have psychic trauma to your sciatica.
Okay.
And what they're going to go is, well, psychic trauma to sciatica, what from? There was a scenario where somebody else's energy field literally overwhelmed you at the nerve endings. Somebody psychically overwhelmed you, and that happens when people fight each other. It's inevitable. So you reach that high frequency, and your body has not been able to let go of it, along with a number of other psychic traumas that are on the sacrum. So a craniosacral therapist will be very good at reducing the size of that, and that at the end of that, it's going to be important that you do something that honors what you've done. 6 weeks of juicing, and having the craniosacral therapist probably once a week for the first 3 weeks, and then twice a week at the very end. So your total of 4 visits is what you're looking at.
Okay.
Or 5 visits. And at the end, you need to do a ceremony that honors that 6 weeks of how much you've brought into your life. Okay. This is where you get to count your victories of who you are, what you are, and what you've done. And this is where you will claim victory over what is projected onto you as your end of life.
Okay.
Okay. Gary, do you have any questions?
I really don't. It's just I'm just thinking about how we're going to get in motion with this, because we're definitely going to do it, and it's so in line with what you've been saying about counseling ancestral debt, and again, claiming our sovereignty and that we do have the ability to heal ourselves.
Yes, we do. And not only that, we can heal ourselves in infinite amount of ways. So here's something that I want to pass on to you, Gary. I want you to use your trumpet with the mute, and I want you to use it just over her tailbone. And I want you to think about all of those people that use light language or sound healing, and you're going to be creating a vibration with your embouchure that's connected to your throat, that is connected to your guide, that is going to be going through a brass tube that's going to be making a frequency with a mute at the end, and you can scare out and push out a tremendous amount of energy once you get yourself into that chemical musical frequency of heart connection. And I want you to go from tailbone to crown chakra to tailbone. Make it about 10 minutes. Okay?
Okay.
You could one on her root, right on her tailbone. 2 minutes on her tailbone of 1 or 2 notes in harmony, and then you move to the second. So there's 7 chakras. So you're going to go root to sacrum, sacrum to solar, so heart, throat, and so on. And I want you to do it for her front and her back. So on her back and then on her front. And I want you to try to do that every other day. Okay. And she's going to tell you you're going to get to certain spots where your heart goes through the alchemy of music and comes out that end of that trumpet with your hand on that mute. You will have full control to move out dense energy with love alone.
Mm-hmm. She likes the way I play, so
I love it.
That'll be good.
There we go.
I definitely would do that.
Yeah, that's good. There we go. Some nice soft energies now. Well, this has been a really, really fun reading. Thank you both for you coming on and being in the spot and helping everyone that's going through. When I'm doing hand movements, there's something in my third eye that is reading an Akashic stream, and they think of it like 70 or 80 little lines coming across, and a stream beeps in, and I can attach into the stream, and I could have 30 or 40 of these going at once. And then there are things that come into that frequency that's in Gary's body or whoever's body that I'm reading, and I start moving those out of that frequency because those are polarity. So what you're seeing me do is going through the polarity to find out in the Akashic record what is literally causing, in this scenario, what is causing his throat injury, what is causing the sciatic injury, where it occurred, is it a soul energy that has been brought from other lifetimes, and then I'm tracking it back all these other places. So when you're seeing hand movements, it is me stopping polarity from coming in, or in an area where it's really, really, really dense, I get in there and I'm energy massaging it. This is on their physical body. I'm remotely doing this, and then I'm just literally pulling it out into chunks and sending it back to where it goes, back to the person that usually created that karmic debt that's creating such sickness. Now, I advise not to use a mirror, that you just go like this. Yep. Practice pulling stuff, actually peeling onto the skin and peeling it off, doing it right. Because when I'm doing this, and sometimes you see me really grab in there fast because there's an entity or a parasite or a projection from a past, present, or future self that I suddenly grabbed its perceptive reality and shook it and sent it back. So it's not able to observe that scenario anymore. Or literally I'll grab it and rip it out of the energy frequency and heal the energy frequency so it cannot enter back in. And then I'll create a portal in my hand that sends it back to the North Pole. Because there's this part of me in the North Pole, so it's instantly transported back to the dream world. It cannot be in this realm of the real anymore. As I've stated before, even before I go onto a show, I've already experienced the audience. That's everyone that's listening live and everyone that's listening in the archives from now until the end of time. That's every show is like that for me. So do I know exactly what's going to happen every show? No. I get a synopsis. And that synopsis helps me prepare as this person of, all right, I know that I'm going to be reading ancestral karmic energy, that I'm going to be using psychic surgery, that this body and my other blue bodies will be doing way more work than what people actually see in this 1 hour. So me engaging the personalities, me bringing my signature frequency out is vitally important for this audience, because the audience is anchoring what? A no-time field. Every show that I create, every time I'm in the Akashic frequency, I am generating a no-time field. Everyone else has that inherent legacy to do it too. When people experience me for the first time, it smacks them in the face sometimes, and it's a little bit of toughness to get used to, but getting into no time is everyone does it a little differently. And the way I do it, I bring on super high frequency direct to the Akashic record as a person that's been practicing this my entire life, setting the bar here. And sometimes that bar is very difficult for people that are down here to understand, because their bars naturally want to go up. And if they have lots of baggage, they get that neutral point where they can't go any higher. They're stuck in a plateau. And that is where the voice, the things that I do, because there are times that I'm not just talking to Gary, I'm talking to his blue bodies or to a future self, even though I'm directly talking to Gary too. There's other words that are affecting other parts of them, and then the audience is a part of that in a witness of a no-time bubble. Is there polarity coming at me? No, I'm an individual sovereign being declaring a sovereign court of equity for my entire manifesting life, so all of the energies are filtered through the ancestors. The love, without string attached, is instantly shared with my crown chakra, which allows my whole spirit to be in my body anchored. It's as simple as this to say that. It's the co-creation that the audience brings. So is the audience helping me heal the individuals? Yes, because your total potential is added to there through the filter of the spiritual court of equity that is in remedy and resolve, not justice or judgment. Yeah, I mean, I was in like 31 dimensions, holding all of the different things that had prevented him as the soul, and I actually got his soul to see what it had not been alchemizing over 2,000 lifetimes. That's the trick of soul surgery, or psychic surgery. You're helping a soul figure out its long-term issues, because you're a fresh set of eyes in the neutral position. That's not in polarity. Well, once you enter no time, you're healing yourself. That is natural in no time, that you are connected in some way to the infinite energies, and whether it trickles into you or it comes into you like a great river. That's the great benefit of the no time field. It is neutral, and it is your choice of how much infinite energy you want to let into you. When I do the skill set, I am taking that infinite energy and making it into a conscious stream that is interacting with you, everyone listening, and then everyone that's listening in 1 degree of separation. That is, all those that will listen to this are already a part of the potential here. All of those people are also receiving the same healing, because this event is in no time, even though it is recorded in matrix time. It is a multi-dimensional event. So yeah, you're all getting a healing. Everyone's getting a healing, because for some reason, at the soul contract layer, everyone that is here at the end. For what reason? So we can all come to truth in our own way, that there just doesn't have to be one guy on the radio doing it. I cannot wait. I can tell you, I cannot wait till there's 200 of us that can do this, or 10,000 of us that can do this. Gladly will I pass that torch on. Why? I have so much more that I want to do to help change people. Radio is wonderful. It's a tool in which like nothing else that I've been able to do to reach this audience, whether it's audio, video, to go to the next level, to do broadcast TV. I don't know about that. but that's my human dream. What could I do if I had, let's say, to plan 30 episodes of a half-hour show that was my own? Wonderful. I would put in animation. That is what this show is lacking. My hands are one thing, but when you add animation and graphics to what I'm saying, you can take those concepts and absorb them deeper and deeper and deeper. And when I do these readings, I am taking linguistical concepts, creating melodies of frequency and teaching, just like a musical band, and sharing that in no time for 2 hours. 3 days a week. And there's like when I was telling Gary with the trumpet and the mute, once you get into musical frequency, sound is healing. And when he begins to consciously realize that his trumpet is a consciousness device that can create healing, that modifies his heart energy, and that mute is the ability to take something from a low frequency to a ultra high frequency to a no sound frequency in no time, he can transit out just from heart space alone the most densest of that energy. And there are other people that out there can go ahead and try it with with something like a trumpet. You need to know embouchure. It's really, really important. Um, 432 is the natural resonance of Earth. If you are playing electric guitar through an amp with a crystal grid, you got to realize there's a big-ass magnet inside that PA. What you may be better off doing is getting some copper, and then like copper coins, some actually like 1 ounce copper coins, and then adhering them to the back of the magnet or to around the speaker box, and then spreading your crystals right on the box or around the box. And you will have a way, 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 way more effective sound creation, and it'll feel a lot better for you too by balancing the amount of copper in there. If you can't get copper coins, you can go and get copper wire that they use, for just wiring. Just peel off the plastic. You can wrap it up in a circle, whatever. The copper makes a huge difference. If you're going to use organite on top of your PA, and then tuning to 432. Resin has an issue with frequency, so you may notice. Let's say you're focusing your sound onto your piece of organite. Then you're really trying to get it to deeply, deeply resonate with the crystals and everything that's in there. You may not have enough stuff for it to really turn on to high frequency, and that's some of the limitations with pre-buying your own organite. So I advise people to make their own. And when in doubt, don't use resin, use beeswax. It's not about being able to see it, it's about all the frequencies of what's in there.
I liked what guest Brad had to say, is that his thought on the reading is that one needs to share on many sites to help those struggling with cancer. I think that information that Andrew gave us today really, really hit home for a lot of people.
Yeah. This goes for people that are AIDS patients, people that are in any immediately Parkinson's, even in some scenarios dementia that's brought on from spongiform myopathy, a lot of the major end-life scenarios, Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, anything that's a topical skin cancer, you can saturate it with raw ganja butter.
90 seconds.
And watch it just go woo. Just watch it disappear. It's all about maintaining saturation level and understanding you have to get the plant and the raw enzymes before it's creating the bud scenarios. And then once you learn how to grow your own, if it's legal where you're letting a plant grow to 11 weeks where it just starts the beginning of flowering, and then you're going to be processing a whole different layer of cannabinoids. And then if you actually let it bud,
60 seconds.
Still a moist living plant, you literally cut it and juice it in 5 minutes, you are getting so much infused cannabinoids in you that, again, that's like 11 weeks of alchemy for that plant. That's part of your belief system of daily juicing. So if you can get yourself a crop of 60 seeds, doesn't matter if they're male or female, they're not going to be sold as goods. You are consuming them as juice, as a raw plant. You get that in your head, you get that in your skull of your grow order. You can put 60 seeds down and probably use your closet that's the size of something that's like right behind me, 3 feet deep, 5 feet tall. You could easily have 60 plants inside there, inside little trays in lights. And in 6 weeks, they will be from this big to this big. And in 9 weeks, they'll be about that big with about 30 leaves on them. That's 3 servings per plant, 3 juicings. If you have outdoor capability, they grow really fast. If you have bigger space to grow, let them grow big and wide because you're juicing. You're juicing the raw leaf, the juice, the stem, everything. And when you let it cure, the plant actually cures when you take on the different enzymes. Like if you get a really meaty male plant that you're juicing, it literally goes in you 3 times faster. I've had so many people come back to me, once they get their grow schedule down, that they start juicing, and it's beets and marijuana, carrots and weed, whatever juice, pears, apples, whatever you want to juice. So you're doing about 12 ounces of juice and twice a day or 4 times a day if you're really serious. Now that's some serious healing juicing where you're juicing raw plants 4 times a day. Are you still going to eat? Yeah. One of the most important things, people that are on cancer, they do not have enough calorie intake. A juice may only have 200 calories in it, but it has all the enzymes. So if some of the cancer patient, can eat some marijuana like a Rice Krispie treat, and 3 hours later they have the munchies, what they can do is take the juice, that gives them calorie, their stomach turns on, and then their body's going to try to fight the high, which is either it's going to accept that it has to eat or it's going to let itself be stupid high. And at that point, that is when the cannabinoids are doing what it's supposed to do. It's going to make you eat eventually. But once you start eating and your body goes, all right, I can't eat my own muscles anymore, I will start using what is in there. And if you make sure the amount of cannabinoids that you're bringing in that is keeping you in munchie mode, as well as in the cannabinoids that are healing the rest of your energy field, which is the juicing side.
Yes. So let's move on to our next caller. Raphael, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. What kind of questions do you want to start with?
Wonderful. Yes, at this moment in my life, I would like to start with a couple of personal questions that are affecting me at a personal and professional level in regards to career transition and relocation. I am feeling at a loss in regards to a hope that I had in a recent job that I'd applied for that didn't work out, as well as considering to move to South Florida. But I'm not sure if I am on the right path, and I was wondering if you can possibly provide any insight on that aspect.
I think when you talk about your career and your job prospects, I think that what you applied for really didn't suit you. I know that it's something that you wanted, but if you were to sit down and break the job down, I think in many ways it probably didn't suit you because it would have taken up too much of your time. There are certain parts of it that you weren't that familiar with, and it would have aggravated you. But in terms of future, sorry, go on.
Yes, no, in regards to the career, I was applying for a job that involved both arts administration and technology, which is what I've been, working for in the past few years. And to some extent, it truly interests me. The good thing about this job was that it was going to allow me to work from home, something I was looking forward because I also do work as a healer, not on a regular basis, but I wanted to have more time and availability in general to continue my work as a healer and be able to be more available for doing that kind of job.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When I look at what's coming up for you, I would say over the next, probably over the next 12 months, you will actually have multiple opportunities to find that kind of job that you're talking about, that you can operate from home and that you can do the work that you want to do. I think that you probably would not take the first couple because of the location problem, but I would say probably mid to late next year, what you would call a more ideal situation would come up, and that is the one that I think that you'll end up taking. It will take you a little bit out of town, but in a way you prefer that. I don't think it's what did you say, Florida? I don't think that's the location, but it is further than where you are now. More, what is the word? More country style than your location at the moment. Where are you at the moment?
I live in New Jersey, close to New York City at the moment, and I usually work in New York City.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say where this job takes you is not so urban-based. I mean, you'd be near a city, but not so close. I think it suits you because it's more peaceful, and you get more tranquility, which is one of the things I think you're looking for.
Yes.
In terms of your other side career with the healing modalities, I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. You're about to do a few more courses or seminars where you learn more skills that really touch your soul. You're very good with dealing with trauma, and that's a skill that not many, well, I wouldn't say not many, but not a lot of people have, because you just have a basic understanding of how people feel and how their soul is feeling when they're in trauma without speaking. It's like you recognize it. And the healing modalities that you use for them are exactly what they need. They couldn't explain it. You probably couldn't explain it, but it just is. I think you're going to be doing great work with people over that, so definitely keep going.
You're right on when you're talking about, having the ability to help people when it comes to trauma, because it's something that I have been dealing with mostly intuitively, and the feedback that I get from people who have received my healing service is exactly that. They do feel a relief when they have, been going through several, kinds of traumas in their life. So that is right on.
Well, you'll never really be able to truly understand why you're so good at it, except you just know you are. But it's part of who you are, your energy, your soul, and it's very, very familiar to you. I'm sure before in other lives you have been a great healer. I mean, I'm sure Andrew will look at that later, but it's, I think if I'm not feeling good, I'm going to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yes, you have many, many lifetimes as the healer. When it comes to the trauma aspect, I was scanning deeply as Kathy was talking to you, and as you came back and you were saying you live in New Jersey and you work in New York. And the reason you're in New York right now is you are resolving major trauma that the land has experienced. And by being a focused being who's resolving fractured energy between the two cities, that means the system is not working against you in any way, shape, or form. It is actually sending you energy so that your healing skills can manifest. So the trauma that you are healing, in the difference between the New York and the New Jersey bubble, is just by traveling back and forth each day, you're extending energy to it. So as long as you are moving from city to city, your high frequency energy will be a karmic healing form of retribution, meaning the cancer patient, the AIDS patient, the dying person is going to find you, and you're going to sit down and anchor the frequency and be able to create portals from the big city and draw upon the massive amounts of energy that it takes to create a healing path, a way for that person. Just like you travel each day to work, they will have their own spiritual road into the radiant blueprint of health. And your awareness of traumas also comes from a lifetime where you were an esoteric healer in France in the 1300s, 1400s. You were quite good at it. In fact, you would travel around the world with your own army that would protect you. That's how good you were at it. You know, kings and queens would, give away their fortune to have their child healed.
It truly makes sense what you're talking about, especially when it comes to creating this healing path and this flow of energy while commuting from home to work. Many times I've observed a draining energy that I cannot explain, mostly because I'm feeling very calm and I'm under circumstances that are not stressful at all. Still, I feel a draining energy that I cannot completely understand. And now that you're saying that, it totally makes sense. How sometimes, during my commute, and maybe unconsciously, I do give energy with the purpose of, helping others, helping those around me, even if they do not necessarily talk to me directly.
Yes, you're being the medium of the unseen world. They are storing energy in your field while you're in commuting, and then when they leave, they're giving you positive energy because you are in non-karmic retribution with them. You're healing the land. Because the system has to honor anything that's healing the land because it's still on top of the land.
I see.
So I got a question for you. When's the last time you've given yourself a full treatment?
Well, myself, not in a long time, I have to say. It's been probably several weeks. I'm usually the giver. I rarely think about, taking care of myself. Not that I don't, I actually do, but not as much as I should be doing.
I think it'll be very beneficial for you to put on your schedule, you put your own name for a treatment once a month. And really be disciplined about it. By doing that, your ancient future self potential changes, meaning your 1 degree of separation of who needs healing from you is completely changing. So more and more people will come that can challenge the healer within to create the sacred neutral space so that being can let down, so that the energy can flow and that the healing can happen at a greater scale.
Wonderful, yes.
And
I will definitely do it. Yes.
I got a question for you. Why art this lifetime?
Hard to explain. Since I was a little kid, I was always attracted to music, and I'm a singer. I studied music, went to school for both my bachelor's and my master's for music. That's a career that didn't work out for me, with the exception that eventually when I got into healing more seriously, I decided to take the path of not just energy, but sound healing for my practice. And that's the only link I can find between my interest in music at the beginning, earlier in my life, and what I'm doing now. Since I was very young, I had the opportunity to play music and to sing, and I just love it.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. So I want to add a little something for you. You took your musical classes to learn all of the skill sets for the modern third dimensional world. You were born a fourth density mind, and when you became a healer, you understood that you are on the path to becoming a fifth density manifest personality. Music is the medium in which you are going to do not just healing, but great awakening. The skill sets that it takes to make a stage. Here's an example for you. You can make a treatment room that is like a sound room that traps all of the sound in there, or something that creates echoes. Imagine if you are working with somebody that's got major spinal issues. They've had multiple surgeries on their spine. Get this in the frequency of your mind, major spinal issues. And you're coming in there doing music and toning right on the spine with all of the echoing energy built inside. Not modified by the machine.
Yes, I understand that, and I can totally feel the effect on that, because I mean, as you are explaining it, I am actually feeling the vibration.
Yes. One tuning fork inside that sound chamber with a healing person will amplify that tuning fork many unfold, they'll actually get the stereographic effect, and it will sound like the sounds coming in through their crown chakra. Once you can heal somebody who's in stereographic effect, meaning the sound coming through the top of their crown chakra, you can completely reprogram them with sound and music and healing, like soft tidal waves coming in and pulling energy out, or whatever method of you want to create.
Yes.
So what other kind of questions you want to ask?
Well, getting into a more esoteric experience, lately I've been catching myself hearing my name being called. Like, sometimes people talk about seeing things through their mind's eye. In this case, through my mind's ear. I keep hearing my name being called, and at the beginning I was ignoring it, but it's just been happening so often. Then I've been catching myself and trying, to find out who's calling me, and somehow it feels like it is myself, or an aspect of myself calling myself. There's no established communication other than just hearing my name being called. And for a while, I thought it was just, my mind playing tricks or my imagination, but it's just happening so often that I was wondering if it has a meaning you can probably bring some insight about.
It has a lot of meaning. It is one of your other versions of yourself. And since the very beginning of this reading, I've been looking at it, communicating with it only through the Akashic Record. And what I began to understand about it is your ancient future self, probably 15 years from now. And it actually took me a while to understand what it was doing. So this is a moment that an ancient future self is whispering to you. It's trying to explain to you what's going to be going on in your life in the next 3, 5, and 7 years. This is where we get deja vus from. Literally, our ancient future selves who have figured out what we were going through signature frequency time, and they were able to pass information on through the law of entrainment by just being there in a signature frequency of who they were and using your name to that concept. And then the rest of the information comes in as light, which is uploaded as deja vus. In this instance, they've already uploaded the deja vus for the next 16 months, but they're still trying to communicate to you because you are traveling on a frequency and a wavelength that can allow direct communication to your ancient future self. You just need to create the portal through music that is a golden portal of protection so that the two of you can communicate like dueling guitars in a form that can understand that within the music is a mathematical connotation that translates to lyrics, that translates to an understanding of what the music is. It's all encoded within it.
And that makes total sense. And to that I have to add, it's really interesting what you're saying, because my next question, which is related somehow, and this guides me to it, what you just said, is the fact that not only I'm hearing my name being called, but I'm also listening to ringing in my ear. Rarely in both ears, most of the time in my right ear, but sometimes in both ears as well. And sometimes when I'm meditating, spontaneously, without me intending to do so, I start speaking or singing in light language. And it's another thing that is totally, I don't know how to explain it. It's beautiful, it's amazing, but at the same time so bizarre, because I'm just trying to quiet my mind and find peace in myself. And all of a sudden, I suddenly start speaking or singing in light language.
Beautiful. I have an understanding of why your ancient future self is able to be so present with you now. When you were born human, who you are right now, but you were also born as a wind spirit, an incarnated wind spirit. So there's two of you existing in this world. One just chose not to have arms and legs.
It's interesting as well, because one of the instruments that I play is the flute. And when I'm going out in nature, although I'm very earth-oriented, and very grounded. There's something about the wind, the way I feel the wind, and I talk to the wind. That is, I don't know, is something that it just happens naturally. Nothing that I'm looking for, but somehow it happens naturally. It's like a dance or a communion with the element.
It's something that it's very ancient in your recognition too, because you were a wind talking spirit and a sky watcher for thousands and thousands of lives. You were also what's known as a sky talker, meaning you've became the grand master of the sky and can talk to the stars, literally to the planets, the planetary minds, and make relationships with each planetary mind in the galaxy.
Wonderful, and it definitely explains it, and I mean I get the chills really just by listening to you explaining it this way, because it does resonate and connects.
Mm-hmm. What other kind of questions you want to ask?
Another experience that I had recently was the fact that I had a dream about working with a planetary grid. In that dream, I was not really being completely aware of what was going on. I was just observing outside of a building while taking a break from work, how I see these movements in the sky, and then these people came in like orb spheres that were actually like their spaceships, but they were like single-person spaceships. And I was not really understanding what was going on. I saw them like working on a planetary grid, and all of a sudden, a memory came to me that somehow I had something to do with it. But it didn't happen until I witnessed that event. And I got really scared, thinking that it was something related to a battle or war, which, is not my nature. But
did you see any ships fighting?
No, what I saw was the two orbs, and there were two different people that they landed just next to me and entered the building I was working at. But they were not real ships, but just spheres that transported.
What you were seeing is bleed through. Were you in New York at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, that is called bleed through. That means your awareness of the reality is very sensitive. And as I was saying, that New York and New Jersey, there's this big fractured energy. Well, each part of New York City that's been created into a block that's had its sacred energy mined off of it has a very thin reality veil there. And that's been done on purpose. That's why all the sacred geometry buildings are there. And literally another reality was bleeding through at that moment. And your psychic awareness was going out, going, hey, you have to pay attention to this. Something's bleeding through and can affect you if you entangle with it.
I understand, yes. Now, but do I have something to do with it, or was it just this?
Yes, there's more there. Remember, I told you I have an ancient future self that's using you as an anchorage, as an understanding who you are. I'm going to open up a little bit here, and let's just say in 4, 5, 6 years from now, our way of traveling between cities is going to be radically different. And what's going to come to light is there are people that are powerful musicians who understand that if you hook up their musical maestro expressions along with dozens of other musical maestro expressions to a quantum computer, they can make a way of travel for everyone that is on what's called a musical drive. That means you get a cipher of a song that's in infinite playing, and then you can use a second cipher to transfer you from one place to another, and it's just the length of a song to get from one place to another because it's just reality transference. These would be like bilocation frequency walls where you walk into a wall or an archway and bink, you're out on the other side for an experience. And you are just following that song, and when the song comes to an end, you come back to your body, all of the memories that you've had. It's one of the few ways that the body goes through the full experience by being in this frequency of music that's part of the master universal cipher of music.
I understand, and it makes total sense to me now. Thank you.
And when you bring together the musical mastros and the quantum machine, we are once again singing with the planet in union with the technology, and you can begin to remove the many millions of layers of pollution that are all over the earth. By having that master control system that the musicians are interlinked with all over the global network. And it will be the musicians that clean up the pollution.
And that's a wonderful way to do it, through music, through vibration, definitely.
All right, so we have got to end this call and move on to the next one.
Thank you so much, Kathy and Andrew, for the wonderful work that you both are doing, and for finding this wonderful way to assist us all in this process.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
you were really fun read. Really fun read.
Definitely, yeah.
Thank you so much, and continue the wonderful work, and it's been truly an honor. Thank you so much to both.
Alrighty, take it easy, Raphael.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was a cool guy.
Yeah, very cool. Oh, he's going to do great stuff with his healing. I can see it.
Great stuff. He went into music, but it didn't exactly work for him. Now look, he's retaking all of those musical skills and reapplying them to healing. He already knows he can. He already knows he can cure cancer. There's no other sickness he can't beat now. Cancer's not even one of the hard ones.
Wow.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.